Social media world, my name is Josh Reed, and as you may or may not know, I have been blowing up every platform of social media about this specific video, and I think a lot of it has got to do is because I am so passionate about this mental thought process, and just to kind of give you some insight on the reason this kind of came up. I was on the phone with my buddy today in the car, and he had made a joking comment to the effect of, you know, every time I open my phone or any type of social media, I'm constantly seeing you or your company on there have posting some type of content. And he asked me, he said, do you have anything else better to do with your life? My answer to that question is no. And the reason is because it gets me to the point of obsession over success. And, you know, all of those people that we strive to be day in and day out, the one thing that they all have in common is that they are absolutely obsessed with being successful. And I think that this is a huge thing when we talk about mindset and where we want to be in 5 or 10 years in our lives. Because if we don't have that passion and that drive and that motivation that we can obsess about, especially in the context of talking about our careers or you know, our families and in life in general, I don't think that we set ourselves up for success. And now, granted, success's definition is different between everybody, but I think everybody's got a good idea about it. But you know, you need to be obsessed with what you do. And I say that because when we talk about this, if you want to really drive and in 5 years expect that when you started your company that you're going to be profitable, that everything that you do in the next 5 years is going to get you to that tier that you want to be at, and then you're going to coast, that is not success. You know, the reason people are successful is because when they hit that top tier, when they start raking in the dough, one thing about them is they continuously move forward. And they do that every single day they wake up to every single night that they go to sleep. They're continuously thinking about how to improve. They're continuously thinking about different things that they can do to increase their success. And if that's not you, that's fine. But if that's your mindset and that's every day you wake up and you say, yeah, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, write it down on a piece of paper and put it up on the wall in front of your bed so every morning you wake up, you see exactly why you wake up. And if you haven't found your passion, if you haven't found your love, find it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to sell cars for the rest of your life and that's your passion, you wake up every day and you go to bed every night living the fact that you're selling cars. And every time that you're there and every time that you're out of work, you're dreaming and living about doing it. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to find the form of success that you probably want. And it's very important that we love what we do day in and day out. And you know, one of the biggest differences between someone who has found their passion and their love versus someone who hasn't is the people who have found their passion and their love obsess over it day in and day out. They talk about it outside of their job, outside of their work. They sit there and they look up articles and they get better at it and they learn about it. That's what they're doing every single day. And you can tell that people haven't found their passion or their love because one minute they wake up and they say, you know what, I'm going to start a company. And then in 2 months, in 3 months, after they found out that, well, now I got to put all this paperwork in, I got to spend all this money, now they want to say, okay, well, I'm going to go into a partnership with somebody in a field that is nowhere relative to where they wanted to start their company. And if they continuously have this mentality of I'm going to be successful and they continuously jump every few months or every year and they don't put in 190% and they don't become fully obsessed with it, they will never succeed at anything. And I think that's important for us to really understand. If you found your passion, you should find it super easy to fall in love and obsess over it day in and day out. Waking up and learning about it, thinking about it in the middle of the day, and making sure that you take care of what I like to call your baby, right? If you have a kid you're not, and you're a good parent, you're not going to let that kid get hurt. You're not going to let him fail. You're going to do everything you can possibly can to nourish that child and make sure that they grow up being the best possible version of themselves. And I think that's a key part to this whole conversation. If you can't look at your job and you can't look at your business and say, this is my baby, I'm going to take care of it, and I'm going to completely love and obsess over it and make sure that everything goes right 100% of the time, even though we all know it won't. We're all going to have our failures. We're, at least in our own minds, we're all going to have our challenges and our struggles, but we really need to dig in at that point, and we need to become more obsessive. You know, if someone questions why you spend all of your time in your career that's not dictated by obviously your boss or somebody else, or in your company, or that you spend all of your time constantly learning about your passion and about your love, then those are the people that are never going to understand what it truly means to be successful. And it's vital to understand that, because it's okay. They can do that, but you can't let them drag you down because you're obsessed with something that you love. You know, it's like, well, why don't you go to these parties? Why don't you constantly come out with us on these dinners or whatever, you know, event or situation it may be? And then you're constantly sitting there working to better yourself as a person and working to really build your company or whatever it may be. And then they want to look at you and say, well, why aren't you living life? Well, I'm going to tell you what. I do those things, and I don't do them all the time. There's got to be a good balance between the two, absolutely, because you do need to relax and relieve a little. But at the same token, you have to be able to make those sacrifices. If you think that you're going to be able to go out and party every single weekend, or that you're going to be able to stay up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning every night watching shit on TV and not obsessing over your passion, then guess what? You're never going to get to that level of success that you want. And it's an easy choice. And they said, well, you're not living. I said, I'm absolutely living. And I'm going to be better when I wake up in the morning, and I'm going to be better than I was when I woke up, when I go to bed, and I'm going to do it every single day of my life until I get to the point that I say, you know what? This is awesome. I've made it. And you know what I'm going to do after that? I'm going to continue to push even harder. Because you know what? One thing about success is once you reach, if you have it in you to reach that level and you don't have have that passion, that drive to go farther than that level, I'm telling you right now, it's harder to maintain success than what it is to build it. And you're like, what? That's impossible. It's not impossible, because now you've set the standard. Once you get to that success, where people look at you and like, oh my God, they're so successful. In your mind, if you think you're successful and you're not continuing to push, you're not successful. You're going to ride it out for a little bit, and then you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to lose your ground. And then you're going to have to fight back even harder, and it's going to be an absolute challenge. And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that we're not all going to have them, but how you choose to handle it once you hit that point of success is going to define what success really is for you. And if you think you can coast by after you've made 6 figures a year, or after you've made 7 figures a year, and idly sit by and do nothing else with the rest of your life, you're going to lose it faster than you gained it, and you're going to wonder why. People who are successful are obsessed with their passion. So I want you to look in the mirror and every single day search for that dream, search for that passion, search for that love, and go for it 150% day in and day out. And I promise you, in 5 years, you're going to look back and you're going to go, this is absolutely amazing. And then you're going to say, how much farther can I take this? So I hope this helps everybody in their daily lives and their careers. Of course, if you have any topics at all that you would like me to cover or have a question, you can message me on any one of the social media platforms, you know, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Obviously, you can message me here on YouTube as well. And then, of course, always share the content and subscribe if you love it. I look forward to seeing everybody real soon, and we'll talk.